Find Haunt Squad on all your favorite social media sites. Facebook.com/Haunt Squad, Twitter @Haunt Squad, Instagram at Instagram.com/Haunt_Squad, and search us on YouTube. Haunt Squad, 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 Squad.
And now, folks, it's definitely Suck It To Me time.
In a world filled with supernatural phenomena, 3 explorers of the unknown answer the real questions concerning the field of paranormal investigation. Vinny Gomez, Natalie Jane, and Mike Wolfer guide you to the depths of paranormal studies, creepy movies, games, and comics, and more from the world of horror and geek culture. Turn out the lights, turn on your EMF detector, and prepare yourself for the Haunt Squad podcast.
All those sounds in the beginning sound like what's going on in my head.
It reminded me of Freya.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
No way.
It was. We have a cat that's probably the soundtrack in their head. Yeah.
Yes.
Beep, my butt.
Hi.
Ooh, hey.
Hi. I'm Vinny,
I'm Mike.
I'm Natalie.
and we're Haunt Squad.
We are.
Yeah.
The Haunt Squad movie review show. Actually, you would think after the last couple of episodes that would be all we're talking about.
We just get so mixed up with all the stuff that we want to talk about.
We have so much going on because we're so damn busy. No, we're not.
Nah. Yeah, nah. So, we're taking through the paranormal, the comics, the horror, anything that's, I don't know, related to what we do best.
Which is
Nothing.
Yeah,
Which is absolutely
pretty much.
nothing.
So you're probably wondering why I asked you guys to meet here in the laboratory.
Yeah.
What's going on?
This is a pristine, sterile environment because this is where we do all the analysis of all of our evidence. And
so
that's why we're here, because we're going to go over
our evidence.
yeah, from the Village Graphics investigation that we did.
So we're going to be doing the review today, huh?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. We got some really cool stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
I do have to say one thing, though.
Do it.
My audio recorder went down on me. I sent you a message a couple of days ago, and I don't know if I had anything good or not.
That was probably the evidence that was going to turn the scientific world on its head.
I know.
And guess
Way to
what?
go,
That was
Kenny.
it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
The recorder, I went to turn it on, and it just said, no flash drive available. I guess these things run off a flash. They don't have a hard drive, but they have a flash in it. So I tried
Not a clue.
plugging it into the computer, and the computer didn't recognize it, and tried to reformat it, wouldn't reformat.
You have a
so.
different recorder than us because ours has both. You could put
You
it on
do
a
flash?
card. Well, SIM card, is that what it's called? Not a SIM card.
It's an internal. Mine
Like a
has
micro SD card.
There you
Yeah,
go. Same thing
okay.
as a phone would take, and also it has an internal. So you can
Wait,
do
hold
either
on.
or.
All might not be lost. Did you hit it with a hammer yet?
Did you completely obliterate it?
I did yell at it a lot.
You never know.
Yeah, I yelled at it. That's what I do with all my electronics. Just yell at it,
Yeah.
and then it works.
I bet I know what happened to it.
What?
Probably a demon or a spirit or entity attached itself to your recorder.
That would explain why it was floating
Yep.
in the house whenever I walked past.
Well, you didn't tell
Okay.
us about that.
Now, there you go.
I will say this: the night of the investigation, when I went to turn it off, it had already turned itself off. So I was thinking, all right, maybe it was a battery issue. But I knew during the course of the investigation it was functioning because the light was on.
Well, I had 2 recorders going, so we
Okay,
had
cool.
plenty of evidence.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that. There's some really interesting stuff, and we did some experiments with the Village Graphics investigation.
Yes.
And well, you'll see.
You
We'll
had
get
some
to
really
it.
good ideas, and I can't wait to hear it.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll hear about it.
Yeah.
You know, before we get to that, you'll hear about it.
We'll tell you.
Like the lady at the supermarket I used to go to.
Oh, this
Every
is
time I
creepy.
used to check out at that place, she was a little bit older, and she just had a look about her that was kind of like, you know, I don't know what it was. And she would check me out, and she'd say, "Have a nice night." And I'd say, "You too." And she'd say, "Oh, I will." Every time.
Wow.
Kind of used to creep me out. Who is it, Brian Regan? Isn't it Brian Regan that does the whole thing about when he goes to the airport and have a nice flight?
Yo, too.
That
I love Brian Regan.
That happened at work. No, I just have a thing where I get nervous, like kind of like how I am right now, and I don't know what to say, even though I know what I want to say. Mm-hmm. And it happened at work. You know, it was my birthday, and people left and right are wishing me happy birthday. And there's certain places you just don't talk to me, and one place is the bathroom. And this lady was talking to me, and she said, "Happy birthday," and I said, "You're welcome." I swear to God, and I'm just like, that didn't even make sense. You're welcome.
I've been noticing in the last couple of episodes, I have all these great lists of things, you know, whatever the topic is, and I talk about all my favorite movies in a specific genre, and then I listen to the recording later, and I say, "Holy crap, I forgot to list my number one movie," or what have you. So
Or Natalie forgets to list her number one candy.
yeah, so let's throw
Yeah.
that stuff out there. All the things that we've forgotten.
You know
in
what
the
I
last
find?
few.
You know what I find funny though is that when we do finish our lists, we always say to each other, so we're good, right? Everything's good. Yeah, we're done.
yeah.
Yeah, we're done. All right, let's move on."
Yep.
Yeah.
I know on the Halloween episode, when we were talking about candy, our favorite candies, I left off my favorite candy in the whole world is called Zots. Mm-hmm. It's like a hard candy and has some sort of fizzy powder in the middle of it. So when you suck on it for like 3 hours and it tears up the roof of your mouth, finally the fizzy stuff will come out. And
See, I'm not patient. I wait about 10 seconds and I bite right into that mother. Can't help myself.
you had a candy too, right?
Yes, I forgot my most favorite candy in the world. It's kind of hard to find now. Tangy Taffy.
Ooh,
Do you remember that?
yes.
Yes.
I
Okay.
love tangy. Anything tangy, I love.
You know the best
Delicious.
tangy taffy was
What?
the watermelon that had the little watermelon seeds in it. Little candy watermelon seeds. Did you ever have that
No.
one?
No,
I
did
mean,
you have to
basically,
spit that out?
They were like compressed sugar or something, and they
Oh.
were like a dark brown color. But it had the little seeds embedded within the tangy
Never
taffy.
had that.
Oh my god, it was the best.
I loved the strawberry and cherry flavor. Mm-hmm. My favorite.
You know what? I just thought of another candy. Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
You thought you were going to be getting investigation results, and we're going to talk about candy. They were called apple sticks, fire sticks, grape sticks, STIX.
Okay.
And it was actually the precursor to Jolly Rancher.
Oh,
Except they were flat.
okay.
They were like rectangular and flat, and they came in long bars that were like maybe the size of a Milky Way bar.
Don't remember ever having
No.
those.
Just different flavors. They were like 10 cents a piece or
Oh,
something. But
God.
those were really good. But so basically Jolly Rancher, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, flying saucers.
Yes. Wait,
I don't
what?
think you mentioned those. Those
What's that?
wafer flying saucers. It was like a wafer, and inside you had those little, what do they call them?
Green men.
Confetti. No,
Balls?
those little balls. Those
Balls.
little multicolored balls that you sprinkle on cupcakes. You know, that type of thing. And
Oh, yeah.
it's like an old timey
I've
candy.
never had that.
I've seen it, but I've never had one.
Okay, you should have some flying saucers.
Yeah. You know, I was talking about movies on our vampire episode.
Yeah.
I totally forgot my number one. And it's your fault, Vinny, because I
Oh, Vinny.
because I had everything, all my movies written out in reverse order of best to suck.
Yeah.
And you started talking about your movies, and you mentioned Blackula.
Oh.
And I flipped out because I'm like, yeah, Blackula's on my list. And I like went down, skipped down to Blackula. And totally forgot about my number one, which was listed above it, you know?
You're so easy to mess up with.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anybody who gives a shit, my number one vampire movie was The Night Stalker. Mm-hmm. The TV movie, 1971. It was on ABC. We don't have time to go into it, but
It was
friggin'
great.
awesome.
Watch it.
Darren McGavin.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was scary as hell. It was scary as hell.
Yeah. Huh?
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one of your movies, Natalie, Afflicted, a vampire movie.
You guys were supposed to watch that, right?
We watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was really, really good.
I was happy you
Okay.
liked it. Yeah.
You had said that it was sort of in the vein of found footage movies.
Yes.
And it was. It was kind of like a documentary in a sense that these guys were making to film their trip around the world that they were going to take.
Right.
And the one dude gets bitten and begins changing into a vampire. And the other guy, of course, he films everything because that's what you do nowadays.
Sure.
But it's really cool. As I don't want to say powers because that sounds really comic book like, but as his vampire powers began to develop and come to the surface, they were documenting the whole thing. Hey, look, I can jump from this building to that building. And it was pretty effective. I mean, I thought the effects were done really well. It was just cool to watch their friendship be tested. You know, I mean, it was about the relationship that they had as friends and their responsibility to each other. It was cool. Good pick.
Good.
Did they know that the character who had gotten bit was becoming a vampire, or was it like...
Only his friend.
Oh,
And not right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a little time.
The guy that got bitten, he had some sort of something wrong in his brain, and it could go at any time, like a potential aneurysm kind of thing. The vampirism cured him. I mean, it's an interesting little theme that was running beneath. All of a sudden, he's super healthy, even more than
He doesn't
before.
need his contacts. He has perfect vision.
Yeah, he can run really fast. He's very, very strong.
I could use some of that right now.
Yeah, suddenly he didn't have to worry about the fear of dying. Kind of cool. Oh, yeah, one more that we watched. That was from the zombie episode. Natalie suggested a movie called Pontypool. I had never seen it. She forced me to watch it. It didn't have John Agar in it or anything. Great movie. Zombies. There's something going on outside, and a bunch of people are trapped inside a radio station. Here's something. A friend of mine, Brian Polito, who is the creator of Lady Death, he also makes movies. He's done several films. He's mentioned that best movie to make is a movie that's entirely set within a warehouse. You've got one shooting location, you don't have to haul all that equipment all over the place. That was Pontypool. They basically had one set. That was it. And that was the radio station. Yeah. You really didn't see what was going on outside. Everything was within that station. And throughout most of it, you didn't even see what was going on outside. You only heard it as people were calling in and describing what they were seeing. You didn't even see what was going on.
Kind of theater of the mind.
It was very,
kind of
very
thing,
cool.
Huh?
Yeah,
wow.
Great movie.
It's time for Real Talk with Mike Wolfer, covering the world of indie comics from the inside out. News, gossip, and helpful tips for aspiring comics writers, artists, and publishers. It's all right here on Real Talk. Now here's your host, 30-year veteran of indie comics publishing, Mike Wolfer.
Okay, so it's time for me to run my mouth about comic book stuff.
Yeah.
And also with the sweep up thing that we just did, there were a few things that I wanted to clarify from previous episodes. Real Talk with Mike Wolfer. So arrogant and pompous, isn't it?
But it works.
Yeah. Well, I threw some figures out there, print costs, and I said that it cost me roughly $1 to print a comic book. You have to keep in mind, all you potential self-publishers out there, my books are black and white. Full-color comic costs are even more. So when I tell you that I'm losing money with it every issue, if you have numbers like mine, you can expect to lose even more than I do. You win!
And the letterer doesn't get paid.
Still doesn't get paid. Yeah, I recently finished up a Kickstarter for Maximum Widow. And it did really well.
Good.
Very, very happy with the response. The turnout was unbelievable. People were pledging like crazy. And it kind of blew me away because the last crowdfunding campaign that I did was on Ingiegogo. I gave Ingiegogo a shot. So, any of you guys who want to try doing a crowdfunding project, I'm going to compare Ingiegogo to Kickstarter because I've seen people discussing it. Hey, maybe we should go over there. Maybe we should go over here. Which one is better? Well, let me put it to you this way. On Ingiegogo, Maximum Risk generated about $3,500, and there were 79 backers.
Okay.
Maximum Widow on Kickstarter, we're recording this before the end of the campaign, so I don't know the actual number that it's going to end up, but it's over 11,000. There's a whole lot more traffic on Kickstarter. However, as a creator, I have access to everybody's information, everybody who backs, and you can see exactly where the pledges are coming from and where they're bouncing from. And there's very few that are actually coming from within Kickstarter itself. People doing a search on Kickstarter. Let me do a search for comics, and they come up with me. Actually, a lot of my backers are coming from outside sources. They're coming from Facebook and Twitter. So if that's the case, there shouldn't be such a difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Even though there's less traffic on Indiegogo, if all the pledges are coming from outside of that site, why did I have far less? And part of it has to do with the flexibility that it provides to backers. It's a little more difficult to pledge. I think you have less options.
Okay.
In order to, you can use a credit card on Indiegogo, which you cannot do on Kickstarter. But I think people just trust Kickstarter more. So if you're trying to pick a platform, I would say go with Kickstarter. Now, as a creator, Natalie has been privy to this over the last few weeks. I've been pulling my long, luxurious hair out using Indiegogo and trying to access the backer reports. The software within the site is just not responsive. It is not user-friendly.
No.
Frankly, it's a pain in the freaking ass trying to get any information that I need out of Indiegogo. You go to Kickstarter, you access your back end part of the site for the creator, and you go in there. Oh, I want to see this person. Boom, there they are. Oh, here's all their stuff. Bing, bam, 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 bam. There's their address. Oh, great. You go to Indiegogo. It's like, where would you like to go? Well, show me the thing. Okay, hold on while we think about it.
Wow.
And you wait. And then it brings up the thing. Indiegogo also, I don't know why, I don't know if this was a glitch or if it's just the way it works. Every single backer, it made a duplicate log for them. Yeah, I've got 158 entries to sift through because it was all duplicated. I got duplicate emails from every single person who backed. When it came time to process payments, they send an email notification for every payment. Kickstarter sends one, and it says, we're processing your stuff for everyone. You'll have your money in 2 weeks. Indiegogo sent an individual one for every single backer. So my email was flooded in duplicate because it sent 2 emails for every single backer. It didn't work.
And those emails were credit card statements.
Basically, yeah. So anyhow, bottom line,
yeah,
Kickstarter works really well.
Yeah.
Indiegogo was hard. Even inputting the information to build the campaign, it wasn't working. I'm not going to go into great detail, but it was difficult. Just the actual functioning of the screen. You begin typing, and you can't see the bottom of the window where and then you have to scroll down over on the side in order to see the words that you're still typing. It didn't scroll.
Sounds like their code is really, really old.
Yeah, work intensive, not user friendly.
Yeah, it was screwy. Now, let me throw something else out there. People ask me, why did I go with Indiegogo for maximum risk? The reason was because it had adult material in it.
Oh, okay.
Kickstarter has a very specific policy that says you cannot do Kickstarters that have adult material. Some people call it porn or whatever, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has their own definition of what's pornographic anyhow.
Right.
But we all know what it is. Maximum Risk had that material in it. So I said, well, I'm going to have to go with Indiegogo. I'm going to have to do it because Kickstarter has a rule against it. But then I had a backer contact me from Kickstarter from a previous campaign, and he said, hey, listen, Kickstarter's rules don't apply to comics when it comes to adult material. It's only for like movies and things like that.
Okay.
I said, So I looked into it, and it specifically says, no, you can't. I contacted Kickstarter, and I asked them about it, and they said, well, why don't you just submit it, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll let you know if it's okay.
Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. Do you have a rule or don't you? And I started looking around for campaigns, and there were several that were successfully funded for adult comic books. There were several campaigns for books that had adult material in them. Okay. Most notable was one called Smut Peddler, and I forget exactly how much that made. Like, I don't know, but that was 150,000 or something like that.
But that was a comic book.
Yes,
maybe.
And I looked at interior pages, and it had straight up adult material. So yeah, I said, I'm going to do it. And I submitted it to Kickstarter, and they said, yeah, whatever. Everything looked good. Just do it. So I don't know exactly what the written rule is because the written rule I read said no, but Kickstarter said, well, God, go ahead.
What's
But
the
again-
moral of the story?
The moral?
You don't have to use Indiegogo anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
no.
figured out how to get your stuff onto Kickstarter.
I'm going to keep it on Kickstarter.
yeah.
You know, something else that I did want to mention too, I think it was last week or the week before, I talked about people who support the hell out of me, that retweet and share posts, and they have me on their podcasts and things like that. People in the horror community who really, really push and really help, and they're doing their best. And I have a list here. I want to read these off.
Absolutely.
These are people who have done a hell of a job promoting me. Here's the list. Richard Boom. Boom, 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 boom. From comicsforsinners.com. Comic Kick and Horror Kick on Facebook. Dead as Hell Podcast. David Bitterbaum at the newestrant.com. Of course, Decapitated Dan, he's our
Yes.
buddy. He does a Monsters and Metal podcast, which is monstersandmetal.blogspot.com. And he's also a part of the Water Cooler Guys podcast, and they're at comicattack.net. There's promotehorror.com, who everything I do, they repost and retweet. The megapods.com, leglesscorpse.com. He's done a lot for me. Horrorhounds.net, horrormansion.net. Andy Hay, that guy's awesome. We have some great conversations on Facebook. You can find him at www.geek-pride.co.uk. And James Wright at bloodydisgusting.com. There's a bunch more, and if I left you out, it doesn't mean I've forgotten you. I could go on and on and on. I mean, there's so many people out there that help us.
Well, let me help you continue with. Okay. So we have a lot of people also that retweet, favorite. Well, now it's liking. It's gone from starring to hearting on Twitter. So liking, retweeting, and follow Friday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
follow
yeah.
Friday. So we'd like to thank J-Man and Urban of The Last Real Heels.
Woo! Yeah.
Haunted Nights, Ashley Patterson, Rudo to the Bone, Angelica Garcia, Lucia Chef, Blood Soup, Vinny Massaro, Veronica at Biohazard Babies,
Oh, yeah.
Brian Recker,
Yep.
Nicholas Ramirez, Wayne Klingman, Matt at Night Falls, and last but not least, Or So the Story Goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hashtag Spooky Click.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was Lucia Chef who coined
Spooky Click. He
hashtag
sure
Spooky
did.
Click.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys want to find us on Twitter, just check that out.
Mm-hmm.
SPOOKYKLIQ. Now, while we're still talking about Kickstarter, wait, are we still talking about Kickstarter?
No.
No, we're not. Okay, we'll go back to Kickstarter. I recently backed a project called Seamstress on Kickstarter. I don't back a lot of projects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very picky. But I saw this one and I said, you know what? This looks pretty cool. It's a comic book, and the premise of the book is superheroes have costumes. Supervillains have costumes. They're always getting shredded and torn up, right? So who makes their costumes? Somebody's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the premise of Seamstress. With these two sisters, one works for the good side, one works for the bad side, you know? It's a cool idea.
Yeah,
it
is.
sounds really fun. The art looks really cool. The creator is Nicole Kane. She's actually down in Australia. Now here's the thing. Great looking project. Great concept. It's got a really cool hook. They're not getting a lot of backers. And I'm not sure why the hell not. The rewards they have are really cool. There's like a seamstress's tape measure.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff like that. That's like, oh, that's really clever. It's cool stuff. As of now, they have 57 backers, which is $833. But they're shooting for $3,553. So it's not even at a third yet. And there's only 17 days left to go. It was a 30-day campaign. I thought this thing was going to be funded within like the first day.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because I'm looking at who this is meant to appeal to. The cosplay community.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's about... And Nicole is, or at one time, was a professional cosplayer. So she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing. I figured, man, it's surefire hit. Every cosplayer out there is going to say, hell yeah, I'm going to get this book.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? Where are they? And it's the same with my stuff. Oh, The Curse of Ragdoll, Daughters of the Dark Oracle, Gothic Horror. It's inspired by Hammer Films. You know how many people out there love that stuff? Where are the backers? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Where do we find the people? And how do we hit them? And what do they need? And I think it goes back to people just don't read comics anymore.
Is that it?
I don't want to keep throwing that out there every week, but the comics are a viable entertainment medium. It really is. And there's a heck of a lot of movies coming out and TV shows coming out. Everything's based on comics. Everything's based on the graphic novel. Did anybody read the graphic novel? No. But it's a great idea. So what do we have to do to get people to start looking at comics again? Is it too difficult to go to the store? Is it because comics aren't available in, like supermarkets and drugstores and all of that? I mean, some of the major Marvel and DC and stuff, you'll still find those.
Or people going more toward digital? I mean, I don't really like that,
I
but
was
I'm
gonna
wondering if
just
that's
bring
a
that
thing.
up.
Which
Which
you have
makes
like Comixology and things like that.
Which makes it even easier to get comics.
I was thinking what Natalie was thinking. The digital age, I mean, how much room do you have in your house for boxes and boxes of comic books when you can actually go to Marvel on your tablet and actually find Civil War, the whole series.
Yeah.
And it also brings in the alternate comics from Spider-Man and whatever.
Right.
And you can have it all there, the whole story in one shot. It's really tough. I don't know. Me personally, I would rather purchase on a tablet because I know that I could take one thing with me and it's there when I need to look it up instead of having a book in my back pocket. And if I want to buy the next issue, it's out, great. Click, it's bought, and it's there.
Do you think video games has anything to do with it? I mean, people have talked for years and years and years, video games, that's going to kill comics. I don't know if it has any effect or not,
No.
because
I don't
entertainment, if you're, let's say, 14 years old, and you have money to spend on something, would you rather buy a bunch of $4 comic books or buy a $39.99 game that is going to change every time you play it? You know what I mean?
You can make up your own story on that game.
And you can play with other people, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just wanted to throw some more Kickstarter
It's
stuff
funny.
out there.
I have an observation. Knowing and being around my kids.
Right.
My kids are really not that creative. Not like I was when I was a kid. I used to draw, and I would make up my own superheroes, and I would have a full-fledged comic book in my art pad.
Right.
Yep. My kids, here, take the Legos and go do something with them. And they just sit there and stare at them.
Yeah.
Throw a video game in front of them, it's something different. Same thing, comic book, they'll read one, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
They just, there's nothing there. But now with the age of the Marvel movies that are coming out now, and they don't have to read those comic books anymore. You have it, it's as easily accessible as being on an iPad or in a movie theater or on TV. I mean, look at the slew of comic book television series that are coming out. They got Supergirl and Flash, Gotham. You don't need a comic book anymore.
Yeah. So are comic books going the way of vaudeville?
No, I don't think so, because there are talented people out there still trying to push.
Well, I'm not giving up.
No.
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I love it. So there you go. I'll be back with more rambling about comic book related stuff. As I said in the past, if you guys have any bright ideas, let us know. Let me know. If you come up with any great theories about Kickstarter, about how to do it better, I'm not complaining. I'm thrilled to death with the response I get on Kickstarter. But, if you have any info to share,
you shouldn't have anything to complain about. Every time you come over to the mansion, you bring in those bags of money that have the money sign on it.
Yeah.
You're just dragging them in, and
like I'm Scrooge McDuck or something,
diving into the dollar bills.
Oh, and then we wake up.
Yeah.
Unseen forces, both tangible and intangible, both visible and invisible, things we know nothing of, the natural and the supernatural.
We are now entering the Haunt Squad Audio Vault.
Okay, we're not in the audio vault. That was the audio vault opener.
Oh.
But we're not. We're in the laboratory, and here we go. Village graphics investigation that we did. Let's do a quick rundown.
Okay.
What happened while we were there? Nothing, really. Nothing.
Nice place, as far as I could say.
Yeah, it was a cool old house built in the mid-1700s. They didn't know exactly when it was built. Old place. The owners had moved out, so it was basically empty. A little bit dusty, but it was in pretty good shape. There was a main building that was initially built, back in the 1750s. And then there was kind of an addition that was built on the back that had 2 apartments that were upstairs. There was a second-floor apartment and a third-floor apartment. So it was just the 3 of us, and we put 7 infrared cameras all over the place, and we did our thing. And you guys agree, right? It was quiet.
Yeah, it was a spur of the moment kind of thing too.
It was too. Yeah,
we got out there and set this thing up quick, and it was a pleasant evening.
It was. There were a few weird things that happened.
Yeah,
which you'll hear in these audio clips.
Okay.
I conducted 2 experiments. We used what I call the bell curtain, and we had used this at the Gray Fox. It's basically a sheer piece of black material, very lightweight, and it has bells attached to the bottom of it, little jingle bells across. So we string that up across a doorway or entryway or whatever across the middle of the room in the hopes that if something is moving through the room, it might move through that curtain and make the bells jingle. Right. And we put K2 meters and digital audio recorders on the floor at the bottom of the bell curtain so that if anything happens, we'll pick that up. And that's what we did on the second floor. Oops. Natalie,
Oopsies.
At least once a week you smack your...
I do. I'm a bitch. I'm so mean. Just you watch out over there.
I'm over here.
Vinny.
Oh.
So, second floor apartment. That's where most of the activity was reported by the previous owners. That thing fell several times.
Yeah.
And we know that it was because the tape was giving out. There wasn't anything to hook it to in order to string it across the room. So we had to use duct tape on one side of it to attach it to the ceiling. So we do know it had to be giving out on its own.
And there were times that I said, I hear it pulling.
Right, you could hear it begin to detach. It would make kind of like crackly sounds. And then maybe a minute later, it would come completely off the wall. Now, I had 2 audio recorders. One I left in the second floor apartment. Left it there the entire night. The other one I took with me. Now, what I did when I was doing my review, I took both of those recorders, I took the audio, imported both of those tracks into Audacity, which is a software program that we use to edit. And I lined them up so that they were synchronized with each other so that we could hear what was going on in 2 different places at the same time.
Cool.
You get me? So if we have our individual recorders and we're listening to what's going on the 3rd floor, well, you're only hearing that. You're not hearing what's going on downstairs on the recording. You can't hear that. So I overlapped them, synchronized them together so that you can hear what I was saying on the 2nd floor and what you were saying downstairs, or what, whatever. Very interesting.
Really?
This is the first time that we've tried this. Even after, all the years that we were in other paranormal investigation groups, we never did that. No one had done it. It's really cool. It's very cool. So, with that said, go ahead and play the first clip. This is from the 2nd floor. This is the room that was supposedly, where the most activity was. And there was reports that there was a little toy chair that they said would be pulled out into the middle of the room. Just like in the middle of the night for no reason. I don't know. Weird stuff.
Yeah.
This is a little bit tough to hear, so listen close. At the end, I have it doubled up, the thing that we're looking for.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead. We're friends of the people who own this building. We asked them if we could come up and spend some time here and maybe talk to you if you wanted to talk to us. All right, it's really, really hard to see. It's hard to see.
Well, it sure is.
Of course it is, because it's audio. There is a at the very end of it where it gets really loud. What I did was I enhanced a certain area because I thought I heard something, bumped up the volume. I couldn't really clean it up, though, to get all the hiss out of there because of the quality of the recorders that we're using.
Right.
But there is a, very faint after I'm talking. Okay, go ahead and play that one more time.
Okay.
And again, listen to the end where it's tripled. We're friends of the people who own this building. We asked them if we could come up and spend some time here and maybe talk to you if you wanted to talk to us. Now, can you hear it, or does it just sound like noise to you?
Do you really want to know what I hear?
Well, yeah.
I hear no.
Oh, really?
I'm not hearing the I'm hearing a no.
In the middle of that, that's played 3 times?
More toward the end. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's something there, then.
There is something.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing no.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll be honest with you, I hear nothing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of crackle.
Yeah. We need to invest in some multi-million-dollar equipment, I think.
We're going to have a Kickstarter.
Let's start.
And
Okay, well, let's move on to number 2.
Okay.
This is the curtain falling. This is what it sounded like. These are the noises that we were looking for. I threw this in there just so that everybody could hear what the bells sound like.
Okay.
Okay, so before we go, how about that stuffed animal? That toy that's up in that apartment up on the 2nd floor. Can you move that before we go? Just kick it over, knock it across the room, or... Because we heard that you or someone moved a doll several times. So that's why we brought that, because we thought that maybe you might have some interest in it.
All right. The bell curtain fell.
Okay, now, that is one of the instances that I was talking about where I doubled it up.
Okay. Yeah.
So you hear my voice very loud. I'm actually downstairs at the base station asking questions to nobody. You, Vinny, and Natalie were upstairs in the 2nd floor apartment. Now, when we were talking, we couldn't hear each other through the floor.
Okay.
So the reason why you hear me talking and you hear you guys talking over it, it's because we were in different rooms. We couldn't hear each other. It's not like we were talking over each other.
Yeah.
So the reason I put that one in there was, okay, look, the curtain fell. And we know that it did randomly fall on its own. But I was asking specifically, go up there. The stuffed animal I'm talking about was sitting at the bottom of the curtain. And I was saying, hey, listen, go up there and kick that animal around or do something, you know. And then the curtain falls. Coincidence? Yeah, probably. I'm just throwing it out there. You guys be the judge. Okay, here's another example of where I was overlapping the audio. I was downstairs at the base station. Natalie, you can hear her voice in that 2nd floor apartment. Some kind of weird noise, right?
There's just some kind of creaking.
If that was you, would you do that again? Make that sound?
I'm not sure if it was a curtain or not.
There's a little poppy, crackly sound. About 30 seconds ago. Okay, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to knock 2 times. And after I do that, could you please knock 2 times?
That's Mike knocking downstairs.
Now, did you hear the bell just then?
and I didn't hear it live.
Yeah. Now, the whole point of that exercise right there is...
There's more creaking up here. 12:10 a.m.
Yeah, she heard more creaking.
Again, I'm not sure if it's for a curtain or not.
Okay, so what was going on was I was downstairs and I heard something in the room. And you hear me say, I just heard a pop or something. Before I get that out of my mouth, Natalie, who's upstairs on the 2nd floor, says, I just heard some creaking or something. She heard the noise. How the hell does she hear that little noise? Upstairs on the 2nd floor. And then she hears more, and the bell on the curtain jingles.
Yep.
Also, while she is saying, I hear creaking,
The other thing I heard was when you said, I'm going to knock, I heard a thump before you knocked.
Yeah. Maybe it was me. Maybe I was kicking that
I
stool
sit
again.
perfectly still. I don't
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't react to it. There is that, and then I go knock, knock. So since I don't react, I would have heard that. So maybe it was me just like knocking into something before I was going to make my taps.
Okay.
Okay, the next experiment we did, this was out there. And I don't even know if you guys believe me when we were doing it, because I was listening to the recordings and kind of like, Mike's crazy. Like, this isn't going to work. It's loud and it's a pain in the neck. What we did was, Natalie and I took our cell phones. She was on the second floor in the apartment.
Yeah.
I was downstairs at the base station. We called each other on our cell phones and let the call go. Put our phones down on the floor and just let the call continue. And then we put recorders on the floor by each of the phones. And we also had our walkie-talkies that we were communicating back and forth a little bit. The idea was, if we're dealing with some kind of intelligent entity that's composed of energy, that perhaps it's speaking to us on wavelengths that we can't hear. Perhaps it can be picked up by the cell phone. So if the voice is coming through the cell phone, we have our recorders there to pick up the sound.
Right.
So this clip is just kind of like a little intro to hear what's going on. You're going to hear both of our voices coming through the phone, and then you're also going to hear our voices live in the room. Okay? But it's all going to make sense.
Okay.
So go ahead and play that.
Can you hear this?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my walkie-talkie.
What is that?
I don't know what the hell. Maybe it's the phone signal disrupting the walkie signal? I don't know, but
It's not happening to mine or Vinny's. Oh. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Okay, so we got that a little bit from time to time. And as I said, what I'm wondering is, was the fact that our phones were on making a call, was that somehow interrupting or bleeding over through the walkie-talkie somehow?
Well, I will say this. Signal does, when it comes to a cell phone, for these speakers in front of the computer here, if you have the cell phone too close to it, the cell phone is constantly looking for a signal. When it does that, it goes through the magnet of the speakers, and you get that coming through. So maybe it was affecting yours, but it wasn't affecting Natalie's.
How far was your phone away from your walkie?
Probably 4 or 5 feet.
Okay, because my phone was at the curtain and I was sitting back by the camera, so
Yeah, I wasn't near.
that's a good 10,
Yeah,
15 feet away.
Well, then my theory is out the door there, because...
But yeah, the point is that it was only coming through one of them. I don't know. I mean, so this is the realm of somebody else who's an expert. Maybe they can tell us what was going on and why that was happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't constant, though.
No.
It was only once in a while. And that phone call kept going for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like
About.
that. Yeah. Okay, we're getting down to the final three here.
Yeah.
We didn't come up with a lot, but we came up with some stuff. So
Yeah.
More of the telephone walkie-talkie experiment. Go ahead and play this one.
All right.
Well, my phone is right next to the recorder. It's not going. Is it going up? Yeah. Mike. No. No, there's nothing with my phone. Well, now the case is going up now that we're talking.
Okay, that was recorded from my recorder down on the first floor. That's what I was hearing. Her voice coming through both the phone and the walkie-talkie. And then there was that loud, staticky thing that you hear, right? At the end of that?
Yeah.
Very loud and annoying. Okay. This part of it was recorded from the second floor. This is the recorder that was up by her. The same thing, but from a different room.
Well, my phone is right next to the recorder. It's not going. Is it going off? Hang on. Mike. No. No, there's nothing with my phone. Well, now the K2 is going off now that we're talking.
something coming through there.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know.
And you weren't talking at the time, right?
No. And at the very end there, you can hear that.
Yeah.
On my end, on the first floor, was that loud static. That's what was coming through. However, on the other end, it was dead quiet except for that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's really weird how one side was getting all that interference, the other side wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Now check this one out.
All right.
Are you 11 years old? I just had a tap down here. Probably nothing.
Now, what I was doing was I'm throwing out all kinds of questions. We're just grasping at straws, trying to get some kind of reaction. And I thought, okay, let's talk about age and try to narrow down who we might be talking to. If you play it again, you can actually hear that right after I say 11 years old. You can hear that, And then, of course, at the end, I bumped it up to increase the volume. But go ahead and play it again. I think it's pretty obvious.
All right.
Are you 11 years old?
Right there.
Yeah.
I just had a tap down here. Probably nothing.
And I mentioned that I heard something.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's really cool to have something happen and catch it on either several different recorders or have someone hear it live and you catch it. And it's not just one person saying, I heard something in my head, but you can't verify it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only did we catch a voice, but I also say out loud that I heard something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of weird. Kind of bizarre. Here comes the mind blower. Okay?
Yeah.
I let Natalie listen to this last night. And she was like, what the hell was that? This is crazy.
Okay.
Again, we're doing the phone thing, right?
Yeah.
We've got the phones going. And I'm talking about ages. And I'm trying to narrow down who it is that we might be talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a voice that comes through the walkie-talkie. Play it.
All right.
So, are you 10 years old or younger?
That was my walkie-talkie. Something just came through.
Is that your phone?
No, it's the walkie. I just got another voice on it. It sounded kind of like a man.
Now, the first one. I say, are you 10 years old or younger? You tell me if that voice does not say, younger. Play that again.
All right.
So, are you 10 years old or younger?
Younger.
I almost hear I'm younger. There's
Yeah.
something before.
Yep.
I don't know. And that was I had the walkie right there that came through mine.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Wild, huh? What the what? You know?
Yeah, it's really weird.
DAFUQ.
Yeah, that too. Now, an interesting thing about the place was there used to be a house right next door. Right now, it's just like a gravel lot. It kind of looks like the end of Carrie. You know, after the house went down into the ground, it's just a gravel lot. There's nothing there. There used to be a house there, and the house exploded. There was some sort of a gas leak or something, and a little girl was killed in the house. It sounds like a young girl's voice, and it's also saying that they're younger. I don't know, you guys.
Yeah. I don't know.
So there you go. A lot of questions raised, and we're going to need to continue on these bizarre experiments with the phone and the walkies, and probably consult with someone who is an expert on sound and not sound, but communication devices and stuff, and say, okay, look, what's the deal? Can a CB radio jump onto that wavelength and interrupt that signal of both the walkie-talkie and the cell phone? Could they be interrupting each other? But where the hell did the voice "I'm younger" come from? I don't know. I don't know. You know what we haven't talked about yet on any of these episodes?
What?
Games.
Games?
Yeah, video games.
Oh, I thought you were talking like board games.
No, you knew what I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We went over about it.
Yeah. And it's in the intro and everything. We always,
Yeah.
every week we always say, oh, yeah, we talk about, video games. We haven't yet. Let's talk about video games. What do you guys like?
Well, wait a second. You play video games?
I used to.
Oh.
I used
don't
to.
now.
I don't anymore.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean?
No time.
What?
Yeah.
Don't have time.
I started out way back, the 70s, with pinball machines. Hey, pinball machines were really freaking cool.
Pinball machines ruled, actually.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
They had pinball machines at the at Air Force Base bowling alley.
Oh.
And then one day, that weird thing appeared. It's called Pong. Like, what the hell is that? Oh, my God. There's two sticks in a little square, and it's like ping pong. Oh, my God. It was all over. So, and then after that came Tank and Pac-Man, Centipede, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
My first game system was Atari 2600.
Same here.
Oh!
Yeah, I got it from my uncle when he passed away. We got it, and I think I was about 7 years old. I mean, I had played it with him before then, but it was ours now, So my brother and I would play it.
Were
Atari
those
games are
cartridges?
fun. They were
Yes.
cartridges.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'd play my favorite game ever, Demon Attack.
What was that? Was that sort of like Space Invaders?
Yes.
It seemed like most of the games early on, there was like 5 or 6 different formats, and they just had different names.
You could have 1 or 2 players, and there was anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 demons attacking you, as you progressed levels. So yeah, and I remember beating the game, and then it would start. Basically, it would start over again, but the demons were different colors of the first level, and they were super, super fast, and I would die.
Yeah. The first
Yeah.
system we had, it was either Commodore 64 or like the Apple II or something like that.
Wow.
And it had this separate box that came with it, and you had like floppy disks, the big,
Okay.
like almost 5-inch diameter floppy disk things inside of the square thing, and you put it in there, and it was. It took 3 days just to get the game to run.
Then you had to type in what the game was supposed to do.
Well, yeah.
King's Quest comes to mind, which was one of those.
A lot of the ones that I played on that were, like I said, they were similar to other things. There was one called Apple Panic that was basically Donkey Kong.
Okay.
There was one called Fort Apocalypse that was like Defender. It was a helicopter. Oh, and you can fly the helicopter underground. You have to go through all these tunnels. And, of course, it was like a side-scrolling, Oh, and there's little guys down at the bottom waving, help us! And you have to land and pick the guys up, and there's stuff shooting at you. And it was hard as hell because if you touched the walls, you're dead.
Yeah.
It's just, they were so damn frustrating. It was ridiculous. Minor 2049er, that was Donkey Kong. There was one called Serpentine, that was kind of cool because it was like Pac-Man. It was a Pac-Man board, except you had a centipede.
Okay.
From Centipede going through the maze. Seamus was another one. And that was your typical, hey, you're a little dude, and you're walking through a series of rooms, and you need to find the key. And then open that door. And then you go through the door, and you go in another room. And you find, oh, there's a red door. Wait, I don't have the red key. Wait, I got to go back to the yellow room to get the red key. And there's stuff chasing you around, and it's freaking hard as hell. And frustrating. You just want to smash your dad's computer. I hated those games. But I loved them. But you guys, I don't have a lot of experience with PlayStation and Dreamcast and all that.
I did play those, but they were my brother's games. He got really into all the different systems. I stopped at Nintendo. When Nintendo came out, that was the last game system that I ever technically owned, and he went into that Sega Genesis, Dreamcast, all that stuff. And
did you play the games with him?
I played some. I played Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto, and Resident Evil, and that was really it. And that's when I was in college. And he was even in college. He'd come home, and we would just, play games and stuff. But Does anyone remember? I believe it was Sega, and it was on a cable station, and you could pay for it and play games. Does this sound familiar?
Ooh.
Okay. You could play Sega Genesis games on there, I believe, and there was a game called Balls. And it was a fighting game, and you were made up of a bunch of balls. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
And you would whip and hit each other, and you would knock each other's balls out.
Now, was this like through the local cable company kind
I'm
of thing?
guessing, yes, because a friend of mine had it. And
Wow, I never
her and I would
heard
play
of that.
constantly.
Never heard of that.
It's I think like Nintendo 64 came out, and yes, Sega Genesis, and I think it was called the Sega Channel or something. From what I remember.
I wonder if it was like a Chicago thing or
Probably a Chicago thing. Yeah, because we have everything.
Yeah,
Everything that's cool in the world.
Yeah.
No, seriously, but yeah, we would play that, and I'm trying to think. I don't know if we had Comcast, if it was Prime Cable at that time. You know, things would change. But yeah, balls.
I never.
Check it out. I mean, you could. There was an actual game. You could buy it as well. It wasn't just on this channel.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to look it up now. I'm gonna have to Google.
Dude, balls is awesome.
You're the big gamer, Vinny.
Vinny.
Yeah,
You got us beat.
Boy, I started out with the Atari. So you have the wood grain plastic Atari
Yeah,
sitting on top
yeah.
of your TV.
Yeah.
And we had like Raiders of the Lost Ark for that, and Star Wars and Pitfall was
What about
another
E.T.? Did you ever have that one?
one. No.
I heard that's the worst game ever.
There
Yeah.
are 3 games that piss me off, and E.T. is one, Friday the 13th is another, and Spider-Man.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
because
Wow.
it gets to the point where it's like, you have 6 seconds to get to the top of the building, and it's like, that's impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorites was Miss Pac-Man, actually. You would think Pac-Man, no, Miss Pac-Man, because I was able to get it to a point where the boards just kept repeating. I won the game. So the same 2 boards would just keep repeating, and it was fast. Miss Pac-Man was my favorite. But I went from that very quickly to the Nintendo. And when we hit the Nintendo, Zelda, The Legend of Zelda came out.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
gold. It was the first game that you could actually save your progress. Unbelievable. So great game. Loved it. And then my favorite from the Nintendo was Mario Brothers 2. It was the first port, I think, over to the Nintendo. So, well, everybody knows Mario Brothers. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and repeat, but it was a great game. But I'm a gamer, and for a while, I had virtually every console that was out there. The Jaguar, you name it, I
never
had
even
it.
heard of that.
Yeah, it was Atari tried to get back into the video game business by coming up with a new video game console called the Atari Jaguar, and it was a CD-based game. Never worked for me. I never had it working or anything. But then we hit PlayStation. And my video gaming just rocketed. From PlayStation, I hit the Xbox 360, and just kept going up until what I have now. Xbox One, playing some great games. But my top games right now, obviously, was Miss Pac-Man, The Legend of Zelda, Mario Brothers 2. Then I played Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Great story. It was basically about a Sith clone that was taken in by Darth Vader, who you play as a Sith clone, and you could either go evil or you can go good. They had 2 of those. Really good game.
My kids used to play one called, I think, Shadows of the Empire, or something like that.
Yes.
You ever heard of that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was more like, did they develop their own character or something like that? It was
I
on a
don't remember.
computer.
I think it was maybe an N64 game. I forget.
Okay.
It was way back.
Yeah.
But anyhow, go ahead.
Yep. Then I went from that to Uncharted. Actually, I have a poster up on the wall.
yeah,
there.
yeah.
The first game that I actually played that was like a movie, and the whole series is based around this guy Nathan Drake, who is a Indiana Jones type guy. You control him, and you take him through this adventure, and it's a full-fledged movie. First one that had an actual movie soundtrack to it, and everything was phenomenal. One of my favorites. Batman the Arkham series for Batman. I had it on Xbox 360, so you play as Batman, and you go to Arkham Insane Asylum. You're there, and you have to battle the Joker. And then you had the second series where you're actually in Arkham City, and it's the graphics were phenomenal. And then I'm currently stuck on Destiny, which is a MMO shooter type game.
You know, you mentioned movies. There was one that I bought that was a CD-ROM game. I said, man, this sounds cool, because it was supposed to look like a horror movie. was called Night Trap.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
And it was like, you can play a horror movie. And, you know, you have to make certain decisions at different points. You're watching these scenes acted out by actors. And I believe Dana Plato was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you watch these people, hey, we're here at the cabin and we're going to have some fun and blah, blah, blah. And you have to decide, do they walk through the door or do they don't? And if you press the wrong button, the guy comes in and kills you. And I was expecting it to be bloody and gory and whatever. It just sucked. It was terrible. And the gameplay was terrible. It didn't work. And I was very disappointed. I wanted to take that back to the computer store. But I never did. It was bad.
Yeah.
Those games were so freaking frustrating, though. Most of them, except for the ones that I played later on when my kids got game systems. Yoshi's Story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Yoshi's Story. Oh. And I played Yoshi's Island. Loved that one on a Game Boy. And the Metroid games, I freaking love those.
I cannot see you playing video games,
Zero
Mike.
Mission was really awesome. I watched my kids play games that were incredibly complex, and they're like, Daddy, come play with us. I'm like, no, I can't figure it out. You're supposed to run and dive and roll and fire and you know, reload and do all this stuff, and they're hitting all the buttons. Forget it, man. Up, down, right, left. That was me. Oh wait, fire button. Okay. I'm good. You know what? I just thought of one. There was a great one I loved in the arcade. It was called Tempest.
Oh,
I asked Natalie about it. She was like, I don't know what it is.
Yes.
It was
I
great.
wasn't allowed to hang out at arcades.
It was a geometric shape, and you're just this thing that travels around the outside edge, and things come out of the center and travel upward toward the outside edge, and you have to fire at them. And then, if you make it, it made that noise, and then you went to a triangle. But whatever. Really awesome game.
Yeah.
Love that one.
If I had to pick a favorite Nintendo game, there's so many. You know, there's so many that are great. But if I had to pick my all-time favorite, it would be Super C. Contra. Was it Contra 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my brother and I would just beat the game. I mean, I loved that game. God, do I love it. I miss it. I want to play it now.
Wow.
Yeah, Super C.
Star Castle. I like that one.
Did not play that.
Arcade game.
Okay.
Cubert was okay.
Cubert,
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah. There was another one. Crystal something.
Crystal Castles.
Crystal Castles?
I never played it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, you know what was really awesome? Don Bluth, the animator.
Oh, yes.
Came out with Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair.
That was crazy.
No, I would probably be so frustrated. I never played it, but
Crazy.
Oh, it was great.
oh, terrible.
Totally fully animated. It was like watching a cartoon, and you put in and you know what? I think it was like 50 cents.
Yeah.
Rather than a
really
quarter.
expensive.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, okay, here we go. I'm going to go into the castle, and I'm going to walk across moat dead.
Skeleton comes up.
50 cents, please. Oh, my
you got one life?
God, it was hard.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There were probably
Okay,
3.
still.
Yeah.
But you probably died so often that it seemed like
There was
it.
another one that came out. It was called Space Ace.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yep.
That was the second
Yep.
one.
Nope.
They were incredibly frustrating because they would show you things, and you're like, oh, there's the way out. I'm being attacked by this thing. There's a door. I'm going to go through the door. Wrong. You're dead.
No.
You have to wait for the wall to collapse, and that's how you're supposed to go out. Oh, my God. Hated, loved that game.
Wow.
Zaxxon was another one of my favorite.
Zaxxon ruled.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Oh, God.
ColecoVision actually had that. It was ported
Oh,
over
really?
ColecoVision, yeah. I remember sitting in front of there playing it over my cousin's house. I'm going to play this way. Everybody else goes out and plays outside.
That's what we do now instead of reading comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Comics are dead. Play video games.
Mike, you got to start coming out with video games.
Hey.
There we go.
Ragdoll.
Stay spooky.